Have you ever asked your partner, "What's wrong?" and she just said, "Nothing." But deep down, you knew something was wrong? You could feel it in the way she stopped telling you little things, in how she walks past you without a glance, and how the conversations have become hollow. It's like someone hit the mute button on your relationship. If that sounds familiar, you're not alone. This happens to millions of men over 50, and most of them never see it coming. She used to talk about everything. Now the silence feels heavier than words ever did. So what changed? Most guys blame hormones, aging, stress, or assume it's just part of being together a long time. But let me tell you something most men never hear. The reason she goes quiet isn't because she's lost interest. It's because she no longer feels safe enough to speak. And that truth changes everything. It's not about being a better talker. It's about becoming a better listener in a way she actually feels. By the end of this video, I'm going to share one powerful relationship truth that could reopen her heart and make her want to talk to you again like she used to. This isn't about magic tricks or scripted lines. It's about learning what 90% of men never do and using it to build a connection deeper than ever before. So stick with me, because the answer is simpler than you think, and it might just save your relationship.
You don't need her to say it. You can see it in her eyes. She used to light up when she saw you. Now she barely looks up from her phone. When you ask how her day was, you get a flat, "Fine." When you try to share something funny, she gives you a polite smile, but it doesn't reach her eyes. It's not anger. It's not drama. It's distance. And that kind of silence can be more devastating than any argument. At first, you may have chalked it up to stress. She's tired. The kids, her job, hormones, age, the usual suspects. You may have even thought, maybe we've just been together too long. This is normal, right? So you stop asking as much. You let the quiet grow because it feels easier than poking a sore spot. But deep down, something doesn't feel right. And here's the thing most men don't realize. That silence isn't normal. It's a warning sign. It's her way of saying, "I don't feel safe to share with you anymore." Not because you yelled, not because you don't love her, but because somewhere along the way, the emotional connection, the invisible bridge between your hearts, started to crack. And when that bridge weakens, women don't fight. They retreat. Communication shifts from connection to obligation. Conversations become checklists. Did you take the dog out? What's for dinner? Don't forget the doctor's appointment. You're still talking, but you're not really talking. And what's worse, you might not even know what you did wrong. Because she didn't slam a door, she just stopped opening up. That's the silent heartbreak of so many relationships over 50. Not explosive arguments, not betrayal, just quiet disconnection. But here's the good news. What fades quietly can also be rebuilt quietly, gently, and intentionally. And the first step? Understanding why she pulled away in the first place. Let's look deeper. Tom had been married to Susan for 28 years. They met in their 20s, built a life together, raised 2 kids, and weathered all the storms life threw their way. Tom thought they were solid. Not perfect, but good. But over the past couple of years, something changed. Susan had always been the emotional one, the one who'd tell long stories, who'd talk late into the night about her dreams, her fears, her frustrations. But now she barely spoke beyond daily logistics. No more little updates about her day. No more random thoughts or late-night chats. Just short answers and polite distance. Tom noticed, but didn't know what to do. So he did what most men do when something feels off. He stayed busy, fixed things around the house, took on more work, told himself it was just a phase, until one night something small broke him. He'd made dinner, her favorite salmon and asparagus. He even lit candles, hoping to recreate some warmth. But when she sat down, she barely looked at him. He asked, "Hey, you okay?" She nodded. "I'm fine." But she wasn't. Her voice was flat. Her eyes were somewhere else. And in that moment, Tom realized something terrifying. She didn't trust him with her heart anymore. Not because of anything big or dramatic, but because over the years he'd stopped listening. Not intentionally. He'd just fallen into the habit of solving, fixing, brushing things off. When she'd say she was stressed, he'd say, "You worry too much." When she shared something painful, he'd respond with advice, not empathy. He didn't mean to dismiss her. He thought he was helping. But to her, it felt like a door slowly closing. That night, Tom didn't defend himself. He didn't explain. He just said, "I think I stopped really listening to you, and I'm sorry." Then he added, "I miss knowing what's going on in your heart." It wasn't a perfect moment. She didn't suddenly cry and open up, but she looked at him, really looked. And in that moment, the door cracked open again. Because sometimes what a woman needs most is a man who will sit beside her, not to fix her pain, but simply to feel it with her.
So why do women pull away, especially after years, even decades of love? It's not because they stopped loving you. It's not because they want someone else. And it's certainly not because they're impossible to understand. It's because, somewhere along the way, they stopped feeling emotionally safe. Now, emotional safety might sound like a soft phrase, but for women, especially women over 50, it's everything. It's the foundation on which connection, intimacy, and even physical desire are built. And when that foundation cracks, the relationship begins to drift. You see, for most men, love is shown through doing, providing, protecting, solving problems. And for a long time, that worked. But women, especially in the second half of life, start craving something deeper. They don't just want to be helped. They want to be held emotionally. They want to feel like their thoughts, feelings, and experiences matter, that they can speak their truth without being shut down, fixed, or brushed aside. And here's where many well-meaning men get it wrong. They hear their partner, but they don't listen from the heart. There's a huge difference. Hearing is passive. It means the words went in, but heart listening, that's presence. That's putting the phone down, turning toward her, looking in her eyes, and saying, "I want to understand you." It's listening without interrupting, listening without planning your response, listening without needing to fix anything. Because when a woman shares her feelings, she's not asking for a solution. She's asking for a space to be emotionally seen. And when she doesn't feel that, she retreats, quietly, slowly. She shares less, feels less, withdraws, not because she's angry, but because she's disappointed. And disappointment is far more dangerous than anger because it makes her give up. But here's the good news. Emotional safety can be rebuilt. It starts with consistency, with showing her day by day, you can trust me with your heart again. You don't need therapy degrees or the perfect words. You just need to show up. Not as the fixer, not as the guy with all the answers, but as the man who still wants to know her, not just her routine, but her inner world. Because when a woman feels emotionally safe, she naturally opens back up. She starts sharing again, laughing again, reaching for you again, not out of obligation, but out of a renewed connection. Emotional safety isn't complicated. It's simple presence offered consistently. And for a woman over 50, it means everything. So how do you rebuild emotional safety? How do you make her want to open up again after months or even years of silence? You don't need grand romantic gestures. You don't need to buy her flowers every Friday or book a luxury getaway. What you need are small, consistent actions that say, I'm still here, and I still see you. Here are 3 simple, powerful habits that can slowly and beautifully bring her back to you. 1. Give her 10 minutes a day of judgment-free listening. This one habit can change everything. Set aside just 10 minutes a day where you stop what you're doing, turn off the TV, put down your phone, and simply sit with her. Ask, what's been on your mind lately? Or, how are you feeling today? Then listen. No fixing, no interrupting, no, well, maybe if you just, responses. Just listen. One man told me, at first it was awkward, but after a few days, my wife started opening up about things I didn't even realize she'd been carrying. This time becomes a safe space for her, one she'll begin to trust. And when a woman feels emotionally safe, she naturally wants to connect again. 2. Express specific, sincere appreciation. It's not enough to say, I love you, or thanks. She needs to know why you love her, what you see in her. Try this. Instead of a vague, I appreciate you, say, I noticed how patient you were with the grandkids yesterday. You always make people feel calm, and I love that about you. Or, I still admire how thoughtful you are. You always remember everyone's birthday. That's something I forget, but you never do. It's the small observations that tell her, I still see you. And when she feels seen, her heart begins to soften. 3. Be present in the little moments, without expectation. This might be the most powerful habit of all. Hold her hand while you're walking together, not because you want something later, but just to say, I'm close. Touch her shoulder gently when you pass by. Look her in the eyes when she speaks, not with your attention split, but fully focused. Give her a hug that lasts just a few seconds longer. These small physical gestures, when done without any expectation of intimacy, create a sense of emotional warmth and trust. It tells her, I value closeness, not just physical, but emotional. And when she feels close to you emotionally, she begins to desire closeness in every sense. The truth is, love after 50 isn't about big surprises. It's about how you show up, every day, in small, meaningful ways. These 3 habits don't require more time. They require more intention. And over time, they become the new foundation of trust, closeness, and connection.
A few years ago, I had the honor of speaking with a woman named Eleanor. She was 91 years old at the time, sharp as ever, and had been married for 63 years before her husband passed. Naturally, I asked the question so many people are curious about. What's the secret to staying in love for that long? She smiled, leaned in just a little, and said something I'll never forget. A woman will stay close to a man who makes her feel chosen every single day. Not needed, not tolerated, chosen. She explained, it's not the big anniversaries that kept us close. It was how he looked at me across the table, even when I was old and wrinkled, like I was still the most beautiful girl in the room. Eleanor didn't talk about money or romance novels or perfect communication. She talked about how her husband made her feel, especially in the small, ordinary moments. She said, he made me feel like I mattered, even when life got messy. Even when we were just watching the news or folding laundry, he never stopped letting me know I was his person. And here's the powerful truth she left me with. When a woman feels emotionally safe and when she knows she's still being chosen, not out of habit, but out of love, she won't just stay. She'll open her heart wider than ever. That kind of wisdom doesn't come from books. It comes from living. So the question is, are you still choosing her every day? Because if you are, she'll feel it. And if she feels it, she'll stay, body, heart, and soul. So, What really causes the silence? It's not age. It's not the years together. It's not that she stopped loving you. It's the slow erosion of emotional presence, the missed moments, the times you heard her words but didn't feel her meaning. And the beautiful truth is this: it's never too late to rebuild that connection. Not with big speeches, not with trying to be someone you're not, but with presence, with real listening, with showing her again and again that she's still the one you choose, today, tomorrow, and every day after that. So here's my challenge to you. Tonight, look her in the eyes and ask her, gently, sincerely, how have you really been feeling lately? And then just listen. No fixing, no defending, no rushing. Let her feel seen again. Because when a woman feels emotionally safe, when she feels truly heard, something amazing happens. She comes back. Her words return, her laughter returns, and so does her desire to be close to you in every way. Now, I want to hear from you. What's one small thing you can do today to help her feel more emotionally connected? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Your words might just inspire another man who's quietly going through the same thing. And if this message touched you, if it made you reflect or gave you hope, follow Smart Advice 50. We talk real love, real life, real connection for men over 50 who want more than just getting by. You're never too old to grow deeper in love. Let's keep going, together.